I'm going to show you the exact service delivery system that Harry used to generate his clients $70,000 in 28 days with his content agency, step by step. As you can see right here, client results is the number one most important thing for me. Happy to say we did 70K in revenue last month for my client. Ads, this and that was a game changer. I'm going to explain what he means by this, retargeting ads and profile visits, whatever. But the goal is to get to 100K a month this month. Now, look, I get it. Everyone is obsessed with client acquisition, right? How do I book more calls? How do I sign up more clients? But no one ever talks about what happens after you actually sign somebody up, right? Like, how do you actually crush it for your clients? How do you get them such good results that they never even think about leaving you? Well, look, here's the truth. Client results is actually one of the most important parts of your entire business, because once you start delivering like a beast, everything else gets easier. You start getting more referrals and testimonials without even asking. You collect case studies that do the selling for you. You feel 10 times more confident on your sales calls because you know your shit works. You can create client interviews that build a lot more trust with new prospects. Your call book rate also goes up because you can use a lot of these case studies, etc. in your outreach. Your close rate goes up because prospects trust you more before the call even starts because of all your client testimonials and interviews. And most importantly, clients stop churning and you feel less stressed because you have more long-term retained clients that give you stability. Look, a business isn't built by signing up as many clients as possible and churning them after 2 to 4 months. It's made by crushing it for them and keeping them for years, having them pay month after month. So whether you already know how to get clients or not, watching this video here until the end is going to be one of the most valuable things that you will ever do for your business. Because we build our own fulfillment systems that clients like Harry now use to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars for their own content agency clients. We're going to go through a week-by-week process and we got quite a lot to cover, so let's dive right into it. So let's start at the very beginning, because this starts before we ever actually get a client. What I like to do before I get a client is to map out their sales process. Okay, like how is my client going to be generating clients for their business? Because I'm going to use this information to not only determine how my offer is going to look like, but also how my service delivery is going to look like for my client. Now, I'll give you a very simple example here, okay? So this is my client sales process. Now, I just picked an example for this. So say I'm helping online coaches who help people build a Pinterest business, Pinteresting. I mean, there's actually coaches for this. So I just picked this online business coach example here for this video, but it doesn't have to be an online coach at all. It could be anything else. I help content agencies crush in a lot of different niches, like local businesses, construction companies, whatever, like lawyers, consultants, anything really you can imagine. But I'll just pick this here as an example because I know that a lot of people are usually in this niche. Okay, so for this niche, this is kind of how it looks like. So first we have to generate traffic. Okay, so the client has to generate traffic, and most online coaches generate traffic through organic content and paid ads. There's really not much else. It's either organic or it's paid. So once you generate this traffic, these people now come to the coaches and become their followers and engage with their content, or they straight up come to the coach and ask them what they offer and ask them if they could join their program. Now either way, it's going to be some appointment setting that has to be done. So either outbound setting, so we're going to the followers and to all of the people who are engaging and kind of message them and try to book them in for calls, or we do the inbound setting, so people come to us and it's obviously a lot easier to book them in for a call, but they still have to be booked in. So then we send them the booking link, we book them in, the sales call happens, and the client closes the call. Now obviously this is a very simplified version, but I want to keep things more simple for this video right here, just because that will make it a lot more digestible and actionable for you. So now that we know the sales process, so getting traffic, setting appointments, and closing them on sales calls, we can determine which of these aspects we want to help our clients with to actually make more money, right? This is a sales process. So now how many of these steps do we want to take on and do for them in our service? So this is what I decided on here for this example. So I'm going to do a lot of things for my client, completely take it on for them. So we're going to completely do the organic content that includes the ideation, the scripting, the editing, and the posting. We're going to also do their paid ads. So we're going to do the creatives. We're going to launch the ads. We're going to optimize the ads after they're launched. And then we also completely take care of the appointment setting. So we're going to create the appointment setting script. We're going to place a setter and we're going to manage this setter. And we're also going to take care of the KPI tracking. So this is not in here, but essentially in all of these steps right here, there's numbers and we need to improve those KPIs, like the key performance indicators. And that way we can determine, okay, which part of this process is not currently working and what can we improve? Is it the marketing, like the paid ads? Is it the organic? Is it the sales? And then we also want to do some aspects done with you. So this means that we're not going to do it for the client, but we're still going to help them with the process. And that's going to be sales. So reviewing sales calls, helping them with scripts if they're really bad at closing, and also weekly consultations with them where we kind of do identify the bottlenecks and solve the bottlenecks. So we track the KPIs to be able to identify bottlenecks, but then, you know, we talk to them and explain, okay, what is the current problem that's going on? So that's pretty much almost everything here in this process, right? So we're going to help them with the organic, going to help them with the ads. We're going to help them get all the attention. Then we're going to make sure they get followers and engagement, and they get inbound leads. And then we're also going to take care of the outbound and inbound settings. So the, you know, all of the appointment setting, booking the call. So the only thing that we're not going to take on for them, but we're still going to help them with information, is the sales call. So now that we know what we want to do for our clients and have a good plan in place for them to generate more revenue, let's go into their step-by-step process. So let's start at week number 1. So the first thing that obviously happens is you're on a sales call with them and you collect the cash from the client, right? And now either you do this yourself or your sales team. But if you're anywhere below 40, 50K a month, you're probably doing this yourself. Now, after a client signs up and pays you, you should definitely have an onboarding automation in place. Here's a very, very simple example of one and how it could work. So we do all of our automations with Zapier. You can see this program right here. And so this is a very simple flow right here, right? So we first start with Stripe. So once Stripe detects a new customer, that happens when a payment link is being paid, and there's automatically a new customer being created. So you don't have to do anything. It just detects a new payment coming in. A whole Google Drive workspace is being created. So essentially it creates a bunch of folders. I can show you how that actually looks, right? So once somebody signs up, in our clients folder, there's already a folder created now with the client's name. You know, it takes the name from Stripe and it creates the folder for the client with the client name. And then in that folder, automatically, it creates a couple more folders. So once we go in, you'll see it already created a footage folder. It already created a shorts folder. So like with here's where the raw footage comes in, there's where the finished shorts go in. And then it also already creates a game plan doc. You can see this is like basically the next step, create a game plan doc. And then it also sends a message into Slack, letting the team know that there has been a new client that's just signed on, so they can, you know, prepare everything else. But this game plan doc is also being pre-filled out. So with this automation, if you set it up the right way, when you open up this, it will automatically not only put the client's name into the doc name, but it would also put it right into the doc, as you can see right here. And then it will also have a pre-made doc. So with everything you usually go over with your clients on the first call with them. By the way, just to be clear, right, this game plan doc is what we essentially go over with our clients on our game plan call later on. I'm going to go over it in a second, but essentially it creates a doc that, you know, we're going to work on with the client together, but you can see it already creates everything for us automatically. So this is a very simple onboarding automation. Essentially, Stripe detects, like Zapier detects there's a new customer in Stripe. It creates the whole Google Drive workspace. It creates already their game plan doc that you will later go over with them together and work on it with them. And it also sends a message into Slack that there has been a new client onboarded, so the team knows and can prepare everything else. Now, this all happens pretty much in an instant as soon as the client pays. After that, you're probably still on the call with them. Then you can also book in that strategy call with them that I just talked about. So always when we bring on a new client, we have one hour strategy or game plan call with them together. Okay. And at the same time, we also onboard them into our Slack, so we can actually communicate over Slack. Now, this you can either do manually on the sales call, like at the end of it, you just send them your Slack invite, and then you talk about a time when you guys are free for the game plan call, or this can also be automated in this automation right here, where it sends them your calendar and all that. But you know, it takes like 2 minutes on a sales call, so you could also just do it yourself manually. And now we go into the next step. Now, just to be clear, right, this all just happened on the actual sales call. So this all happened within a matter of like 2 minutes. You collect the cash, the onboarding automation is fired automatically, obviously, and then you book the strategy call with them and they got onboarded into Slack. Now you jump off that call, okay, and the research phase begins. So this is the phase after our sales call, but before our first strategy call. Usually, by the way, we book this strategy call in for about a day or 2 days after. So 24 to 48 hours after we had the call with the client, so the sales call. So it starts right away. Now, in this first initial research phase, I want to go into my client's profile. I want to look at all of the content they've been doing so far. If they've already been creating content, I want to look at all of their offers. I want to look at all of their current funnels. Are they using a link tree? Are they doing appointment setting? I'm going to, with the decoy account, already follow them and I see what kind of appointment setting they're currently using. If they are, if they're not, you know, I will find that out as well. But I will do a deep dive. I will rinse that client's account. Okay, I will look at everything. I don't know. I will know what they ate yesterday. Okay, I will basically, if they already have something existing on their accounts, I'll go through everything. Okay, after I've gone through everything, the minimum things that I will do is I will write down what I would already want to improve and kind of all the issues that I'm seeing currently with the client. And I will also then additionally create already some content ideas based on what they're doing so far, but some better ones, like a lot of better ideas, right? That will actually have the potential to perform really well. and it kind of still aligns with my client. And we will also create the DM sequence draft. So this appointment setting that we're going to take on for them, that's going to be one of the most key things in this offer. Because with this offer, you got to imagine like everything is being done for them. Like what happens is they start working with you, they record some content that you scripted for them. 2 weeks later, they have a bunch of calls on the calendar. So this appointment setting sequence right here that we're going to use for them is going to be one of the most important things. So we already built that out, at least a draft of it, before our strategy call. And we can only really do a draft of this because in this appointment setting sequence, what's going to be important is like to know who they want to work with, what is like an ideal client for them, you know, what is a qualified client for them, what is a unqualified lead for them. And in this sequence, we try to at least qualify a little bit. So we will be able to do this in a better way after we have our strategy call with the client. But even before, we can at least come up with a rough draft like here. So for example, the connecting message, you know, thank you for the follow, the qualifications a little bit here, you know, where you're looking to get started with your own Pinterest biz. What's the goal in the new year? What do you feel like is missing for you to get there at the moment? Kind of like establish a gap and the need, and then, you know, offer them help. Would you like some help with that? And then converting them. All right, this is what I had in mind. I might be able to help you with X, Y, and Z. You know, what's your availability looking like later this week, and then booking them in. Here's my calendar. Just message me once you choose the time so I can confirm with you real quick. It's a very, very basic appointment setting sequence right here. You could do it in a million different ways. This is just an example. But the point I'm trying to make is we come to this strategy called prepared as fuck. Okay, like we have a bunch of content ideas ready. We have this DM sequence ready so we can go crazy right away. And we know everything about the client already. Now, this usually shouldn't really take any longer than a day, maybe 2, but you should definitely be ready by the time you have your strategy call with the client. By the way, this research phase right here, it is mainly done by your VA. Okay, if you don't have a VA yet, obviously you're going to do it yourself, but all of this is going to be taken care of by the VA. They're going to do all the research. They're going to go through all the content. They're going to come up with the content ideas. They're going to draft a rough DM sequence. They are able to do all these things for you. Then you are going to take this strategy call with the client. Now on this call, you're going to do a couple of things for them. First, you're going to learn everything about their offer, and you're going to optimize their offer as well. So for example, if this Pinterest coach right now is selling her time, for example, she's doing like hourly consultations or only has like low ticket courses or whatever, we're going to actually build out a high ticket, an actual good, really good offer, right? Like a programized offer, an actual program. So we're going to brainstorm all of these things together with her. We're going to make sure to give her a clear idea of what's really working right now. And we're going to create a high ticket offer if they don't have it yet. If they have one, we're just going to get all the insights about the offer. Okay, how does it look like right now to really understand what they're doing for their clients? Then we're going to get very clear on their audience and their niche, because we have to really understand who are they trying to reach. Okay, what is their ideal client? What does that look like specifically? Because once we know that, we can tailor the content and craft it in a way where it really speaks to these people. We can adjust the messaging to speak just to the right fit clients. Then we want to talk about content. So for example, the content ideas that we prepared earlier, we want to kind of present them. We want to already get their initial thoughts. We might brainstorm together with the client for a minute or two to see what kind of base ideas do they have. And this is very important to do on the strategy call, just to understand what this client actually likes and what they don't like already. Then we do a couple more things, such as log it into their account, booking the script call, etc., all together with them. But essentially, we just fill out this doc together with them. Okay, we go through every single aspect of this and we fill this out together with our client. We're actually booking another call for in another 1, 2, maybe 3 days with the client, where we're then going to take the time to go over all the scripts that we want to have them record. I'm going to explain why this is incredibly important in a second, but let's move on to the next step and the last step of week 1 for now. Trust me, week 2 is going to get exciting and we're going to go into the juicy stuff. This is just kind of the prep phase and getting things off the ground, really understanding the client's business, okay? But the very last step and the last thing you will probably be able to get done in week 1 is to launch quick cash campaigns, because here's the thing. We want to make our clients money as soon as fucking possible, because while all of these other content agencies are absolutely fumbling the bag because they take a whole week to put out a piece of content that doesn't make any money, and then they work with the client for another couple months, and how much revenue did they generate from the content? None. So what we do instead is we want to make them money absolute first week, okay? Now, when I say quick cash campaigns, there are usually a couple of things that we could potentially do with the client that will immediately book them calls and make them money. So for example, if the client that we're working with has an existing audience, even if that audience is small, okay, even if they only have like 1,000 followers, we will go through every single follower and we will already start setting appointments with them. Then we will see if they currently have any existing clients or inactive clients. We will try to upsell those clients immediately. We will see if they have a big audience maybe and they're currently only selling a one-on-one mentorship. We're going to start launching a low ticket offer immediately, even if it's something small, right? Like maybe they've done like a workshop in the past that they've never marketed and it was like a group call. Well, start selling that for 50, 100 bucks, get a couple $1,000 in immediately, right? These kind of things. Maybe get a retargeting campaign launched immediately. So what that means is if this client, for example, had a bunch of calls in the past, say they had like 100 calls, okay? 2/3 of them didn't close. So there's 70 people that could have been closed, but didn't close for some reason. And those calls all happened over the last couple of months. What we can do now is we can get all of these past clients' data and we can launch a campaign towards them where we reset the appointments with them, get them rebooked in, see what they're doing, what they're up to now, see if they're still struggling with the problem. Basically, there's a bunch of things that you can do and you can get very creative with this stuff, but there's a bunch of things that you can do to make our clients money right away and to book them appointments with their existing following, with their old prospects that they've never been able to close, with creating a low ticket or a high ticket offer, right? And with then doing upsells or whatever, like inactive clients, reselling them as well. Okay. Now, this usually helps us already make money week 1. But now think about this delivery versus yours. This is, by the way, pretty simple, right? But just compare this with what you're doing right now. You're probably doing nothing that will really make a client money right away. That's the big mistake that I'm seeing. So keep on watching because this will only get better from here. Now let's dive into week number 2. So at this point, we have the client onboarded. We've already had our first call with them. We already start making them some money. And now we're diving into week 2. Now, the first thing that we want to do is remember we have this script call booked in still. So we want to actually write the scripts. Now, usually we don't do it ourselves. By the way, this whole launching quick cash campaigns, usually the appointment setter is all of that stuff too. So you're not really involved in it if you have a team. But now it's time to craft those scripts and prepare for the script call with the client. For that, we usually first do some research using SwordFeed and Foreplay. So those are 2 softwares that we use to see what is really performing well right now for our competitors. SwordFeed we use to research organic content, so what is really performing well for our organic clients right now. And Foreplay we use to do some paid ads research and see what are the best performing ads of our clients' competitors at the moment, because that will give us a lot of ideas. If you want me to make a video on our research process and show you how exactly we go about scripting killer ads, I can do that, just drop it in the comments. But essentially what we do now is we script at least a week worth of organic content and we script all the top of funnel / retargeting ads. So we script the ads right away and we use a lot of AI for this, just to be clear. Okay, but again, if you want my process broken down, just drop in the comments. I'm happy to do that. So once we have the ads as well as a good chunk of organic content scripted, we jump onto this script call. Basically on this call, what we do is we walk through the scripts with the client and get them approved or get feedback in real time, okay? Because if we don't do this, what happens, what a lot of people do is they send those scripts over to the client. The client doesn't really like them, but they also kind of have to take the time to actually read through everything in detail. And 2 weeks pass, nothing happens, okay? Things move slow as fuck. And so what we do instead is we get them on a call, they pin this client down, go through it with them, they share their feedback immediately, and we set a date to get the content back. Because in this example, we don't shoot for the client. So now the client records. If the clients need help with this, by the way, so camera setup, gear, whatever, we help them with that too. But most of the times, these type of clients are online coaches, they just have to record like sit down videos like this, or they can even do that stuff with their phone. Super simple, so nobody really has to help them with the recording there. So once a client records the scripts for the ads and the content that we gave them, they have to upload that footage to our Google Drive workspace that we created earlier. Remember this one right here, so they have to just go into the footage folder and then they have to create a new folder with their name like this, a line, how many videos are in here, for example 7, and then another line, and then the date of when they uploaded it. So once they have that, they create this folder. So once it's done and they have created this folder in this format, you want to tell them to create this in the format because it will make it easier for us. And I'm going to tell you why in a second, but they create this folder and then they upload all of the footage that they recorded in here. Because what happens once they upload the footage is we have an automation in Zapier again. So Zapier will detect a new folder in this footage folder right here. And as soon as it detects that, it will create a task in our project management tool Airtable. So I'll show you how that looks like. So for example here, so this is the automation right here, okay? So I'm going to play it through. So this is the Airtable base that the task is going to be created in. So it'll pop up in here as uncategorized. I'm going to show you how that looks like. So for example, I'm going to continue with the select the record. Boom. I'm going to test the step, the retest step. Hold on. Let's see. It runs. And in here now, in a second, there's going to be a new task popping up right there. You see? Boom. So the task pops up. And then what happens after that happens, like that all, by the way, happens automatically. So the client just uploads the footage. There's a new task popping up. And as soon as that happens, the content processing and reviewing process begins. Usually that's done by the VA, the editor, the client, and a little bit of your involvement too. So what happens here is this task is being created in Airtable, right? So this task right here is just been created. So now once the task has been created, the VA or your project manager, but usually the VA does this, assigns this task to the editor, right? So they can see now, well, there's this new task from Ironman or whoever the client is. They want 7 videos and they have just been uploaded. So let's go into this and edit this, right? So what happens is in this task, it will automatically put in the link to the folder right here. So the editors don't only have to leave this or go into Google Drive. I'll put in the footage link essentially in here of this new folder that has been created. And then all the VA has to do, it has to assign an editor. So for example, I'm going to assign myself right here. Boom. And then, you know, you can put in a deadline in there when this is actually due. So for example, in like 5 days. And then if there's a high priority, we can put this in here as well, but that's usually enough. We close this, so we have this task right here. And the VA kind of manages the editor's workload, so she makes sure that the editor has less content to edit right now, gets this new task. So once the editor gets pinged because they have been assigned, they just move this to working on it. Once they're done with it, they move this to needs review right here. The editor edits all the videos and uploads them into Airtable. So they move this task to needs review, but then they also go in and actually upload the videos, right? So in here in Airtable, create a new line in like the client sheet right here. Go in, they have edited this. It's a footage link from, you know, what video they have edited. There may be some editing instructions, usually not. You know, if the VA wants to give them any instructions for the video, they can. And then the VA usually gives us a title proposal for the video as well. You know, read these right here. They're very important. Read these 2 title proposals, please. And then what happens is, so the editor essentially, again, uploads the videos. They have been edited. Here's the video link, by the way. So they also upload the video links in here. And what happens then is the VA reviews for grammar and everything that he or she can first, right? So they go through these videos now, they click on the video link, open it up. Usually we use frame.io for that. It's amazing for reviewing videos. And then my VA or whoever is the assistant or the content review person leaves comments and feedback, you know, what needs to be changed, you know, what maybe doesn't have to be changed, okay? And then there are possible revisions, okay? So once you put this in here and she selects needs revision, it needs to be revised, okay? And this is her, by the way, this is like her first instance of reviewing process, right? So once the VA thinks this video is good, she will set it improved, and then I will have to review, or whoever is the next person in this instance. But usually we have like 1 person reviews it and it's done. Usually you can look over it if you want to, and you probably will want to at the beginning, but at some point you don't even have to go and review yourself anymore. But the VA says it's who needs review, you know, you get pinged, you go in and you review creatively and improve. So, you know, just like see if there's any creative changes you want to make to the video. And if you do, you just put this either into comments and feedback here or in frame.io. If you know the platform, you can basically comment on the video, you can do that too. But essentially you just switch to needs to revision if it needs to be revised, and then you switch it to approved if it is good, okay? Then the Airtable notification goes off for the client to review, right? Now you set this to needs review, and the client says, okay, well, I need to review this video now. For example, they need to review both of these videos. Then the client reviews, and they might also add some feedback in here. And after that is done, they put this to approved. If there are any revisions that need to be done, so if they set it to needs revision, then the editor goes ahead and revises those videos immediately. But at some point, the client then also approves, and then the VA goes ahead and uploads those videos using Metricool. That's a platform that we use because Metricool can basically upload on every single platform. You can manage all of your clients on that. It's amazing software. You should use it instead of manual uploading. So this is the whole process from like footage being uploaded to then the fresh new videos being uploaded to the client's account. Okay, this is what that process looks like. A lot of content agency truthfully just do this. Okay, a lot of like editing and content agencies just do this right here, but this is just one step in our fulfillment system, because there's so much more that goes into actually getting tangible results for your clients. So we're done with week 2. Okay, in week 2, basically, just to summarize, it's all about creating and pushing out the first pieces of content. Okay, that usually takes about a week. Then we move on to week number 3. Now we're almost done, but this week is incredibly important, arguably the most important week that you will have. Okay, because in this week, we're going to launch the client's ads. So now the ads that have been scripted out, been recorded, and been processed and edited need to be launched. So usually the way we do it is we either completely do it for our client, like we have access to the Meta Business Suite and Meta Ads Manager, or we can do it together with the client on a call just to show them how all of that works if they want to see it. Okay, but what happens once we launch these ads is now we get some lead flow. Okay, so we get leads coming in through these ads. So now what we really need to set our focus on while all the content is being uploaded that we already created is the appointment setting. Okay, now there's a couple different ways you can do the appointment setting. Either you just give your clients this appointment setting sequence, a script that they can use and book their own calls. That is obviously the worst thing for the client, but it will not add any service delivery kind of on your plate. The second thing you can do is you set yourself, which is really bad. I would not recommend setting for your client yourself. The third thing you can do is you can place an appointment setter into your client's business, but the client manages them. So the client needs to make sure that they're performing well. The absolute best thing you can do for the client and for yourself is to put in an appointment setter, but you manage the setter. Okay, you make sure you perform as well. The reason why this is great is because you can charge a lot more for this. You know, there are appointment setting agencies who are charging like 2, 3K, 4K for their offer alone. Okay, this is just a part of your offer, which adds, again, so much more value to your offer if you do this kind of service delivery. Now what happens is a bunch of appointments are being booked. Okay, there's a bunch of leads coming in, a bunch of new traffic, a bunch of new followers. The appointment setter starts going crazy. Okay, booking in all the followers, booking in all the likes. You know, you maybe post some story CTAs with the client, you know, tell them to post these. They post story CTAs, a bunch of leads coming in, a bunch of calls are being booked. Now the client just takes all these calls and obviously closes them, and they make money again. If we haven't made money so far yet, because we already started doing some of these things in week 1, then this is kind of the latest point that we will start getting in some cash flow for the client. Now the next thing that is also very important to do is we have to track the KPIs. Usually the VA does all the stuff, but we want to monitor everything that's going on for our client's business. Okay, so all the marketing stats, you know, how many views are we getting, the followers, the growth of their account. This is one of the aspects here. Second one though is also ads. Okay, we want to see how the ads are performing. What's the cost per lead, what's the cost per call, the cost per acquisition. We want to make sure these are really good. Okay, then we also track their sales metrics. So what is their book rate? So what is our like appointment setting rate? So how many of the leads are we actually booking in for calls? What is the show rate? What is the close rate? Want to monitor all these things to see where the actual bottleneck is. Now we have some amazing internal appointment setting systems, like where we have a bunch of different Google Sheets and all that, where we track every single little piece of data, including that would completely blow the scope of this video. But if you want, I can make a whole separate video of that to show you exactly how we would track our clients' KPIs effectively. But now we got leads coming in, we got appointments being booked, the clients close them hopefully, and we track the KPIs to make sure everything is going according to plan. Now we kind of get into content cadence, right? So we kind of keep up a certain cadence that we set with the client. For example, 1 YouTube video a week, 4 reels a week, and then CTA stories, etc. So basically we keep up with the content of the client, because you know when the leads come in for the coach, these leads are not really warm yet, so they have to be nurtured, and that's what we have to keep up this content for. So the coach builds a personal brand, but also all the leads that are coming in now are being nurtured and kind of start trusting the coach and want to buy from them or enroll into the program. Now, if you remember at the very beginning, we said there's going to be some weekly consultations done with you. Now, they didn't start earlier yet in the first 2 weeks, because we were talking to them every week. Like we had a strategy call first week, we had a script call second week. Now the third week, we start with the weekly or bi-weekly consultation calls. But on these calls, there's an art to conducting consultation calls, honestly. But just to keep it simple, we usually do a progress summary. So we like show all the actual KPIs. Like we literally take the time to show exactly how many views we generated, exactly how many followers we gained, exactly how many calls we booked, exactly how many calls showed up, exactly how much cash we collected, and exactly how much revenue we generated. Because once you do that and you show that every single week to your client, because they know they're making money, right? Like they're closing, maybe they have reps, whatever, but maybe they have sales reps, whatever, but showing this every single week and them saying, wow, this is going amazing, this is going great, these people are monitoring, they have their hands on everything, they see what's going on, I don't even have to worry about any of this stuff. That's just a great feeling that you can give to your client. And on those calls, then we, solve any bottlenecks. So we talk about, for example, okay, is the close rate as? If it is, where's the problem? Why can't you close? And then we talk about it. We kind of review sales calls and all that. Make sure they get a lot better at closing, and any other bottlenecks such as show rate is asked. So we implement a better pre-call sequence for our client with more reminders, SMS, email, text reminders, whatever, everything. Pre-call VSL, we implement a amazing pre-call sequence for our clients' show rate to go up. And then we will also always discuss like the next steps. So whenever we do all the stuff, we say, okay, from here on out, we're going to work on this, and this, and that for the next week or for the next 2 weeks. And then you work on that and you jump on the call again. You do the review process again. Now, after the 3rd week, honestly, you kind of just go and get into a routine. Okay. And that's what happens from week 4 plus onwards. Okay. Because now you get into this routine where you keep up with the content cadence for the client. You have regular consulting calls with them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So you talk to them and you get to build a really good relationship with them as well. And now as they close clients, you just increase the ad spend. Okay, so you start out with spending 20, 30 bucks a day with them, then you start spending 100, then 200 and 300. You really raise the ad spend and you scale the fuck out of this client. Like, just to give you an idea, I know that to generate these results, Harry, for his client, they were spending about 140, 150 bucks a day on ads, so about 4 or 5k a month. And to make 70k, they spend 4 or 5k to make 70k. If you want to know how to run and make those kind of performing ads, again, I'm happy to do ad training. I helped them with his clients' ads, obviously, but that's kind of what we did. And then from there now, it obviously makes sense. Okay, if we're spending 5k and we're making 70k, then we'll just spend 10k and we'll make a lot more as well. But what happens is, as you scale ad spend, systems start breaking. Okay, stuff starts going crazy and new problems come up. For example, maybe now we have too many sales calls and we can't handle them all, so we need a better application grading system so that we don't take every single call, but we only take the most qualified calls. Maybe we want to help them get another sales rep in so they can start taking on more calls. There are going to be a lot of scaling issues, right? Like, a bunch of stuff is going to be happening, stuff is going crazy, and then you need to fix those things with them. And you will figure out what, I can give you the list of those things, right? Because I've done it a bunch of times, but you will figure out what those things are that will break over time as you service more and more clients and really scale them. Generally, when you do that, like when you have a bunch of clients already, like, this system, this process like the back of your hand. Okay, and this process is obviously going to differ a lot depending on what niche you're in, how your service is looking like. This is like full-on service, by the way. This is like an amazing offer. You can charge a lot for this. I'm talking like 3-4k a month minimum, maybe like 2,500 absolute bottom minimum. I would charge a lot more for this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's how you scale the client then to the moon, because at this point you have the content cadence, they get leads in, they book calls, they close the calls because you help them with all these things. You raise ad spend and they make more money. Stuff starts breaking, but you help them fix it. Now, I know that this might have been a lot of information. It's been so much that my voice is almost gone in the process of making this video. But I know there's also a bunch of stuff that I haven't been able to go into a lot of depth into. So there's 2 things you can do if you have any questions on any of these steps, because there's like so much that goes into each and every single one of these steps. If you want to have a breakdown of any of these steps, whether that be creating ads, whether that be scripting ads and organic content, or that be the appointment setting, how that actually works, whatever that might be, maybe a more in-depth breakdown of these systems, maybe how we launch ads, anything. I'm happy to do a video on anything if you just drop it in the comments. And if you have like any questions right now, then you can also DM me on Instagram and ask me the questions, because me making a video will probably take a little while. So I don't want to keep you waiting. If you have like any urgent questions, I'm there for you on Instagram. But yeah, please just stop offering content and edits and start implementing these kind of service delivery systems, because then you can get your clients results like these and they're happy as fuck. And this is what you really need if you want to create an exceptional agency and scale it way past 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50k a month with your own agency. Because if you have a client that's generating 70k a month or maybe 100k this next month, they're not really that opposed to giving you 15, 20% revenue share. Meaning you make 15, 20k from one single client if you really execute everything perfectly well. But while I know you're probably new to a bunch of these things, you got to start somewhere. Take this as an inspiration. Build out your own client journey right here, like their sales process, and then get to fucking brainstorming. If you have any questions, DM me. I'll peace out. Bye-bye.